I remember when I was 8 years old walking to go get my hair braided. I remember hearing the hair braider say to her fellow hair braiders as I approached, Regardez tous les cheveux sur la tête de la fille, on dirait forêt sacrée, which loosely translates as, look at all that hair on top of that child's head, looking like a sacred forest. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with West African culture and what a sacred forest denotes, a sacred forest can be a place of initiation, of purification, of mystery and magic, but can also be a place of punishment and of curses. Now, I don't think that my hair braider meant to say that my hair was cursed. She more so thought about it as a punishment because of its thickness, which she really connected to the density of a sacred forest. So I grew up for the first 10 years of my life in the capital of Côte d'Ivoire, in Abidjan, in West Africa. I was surrounded by friends and family, but mostly by Black women, African American women, across the diaspora. But for me, my hair was unfamiliar. All the women that surrounded me that looked like me had straight hair. Their hair was either permed, weaved up, or braided. I was unfamiliar. So when I was about 12 years old, me and my family moved back to Oakland, California, a city full of rich history, culture, activism, but that had also come out on the other end of the crack epidemic. On weekends, I would watch music videos, unconsciously being influenced by Eurocentric notions of beauty. When I went to high school, like any other 14-year-old, I wanted to belong. I experienced culture shock within my community of predominantly Black people and within my community at school of predominantly white people. I so badly wanted to perm my hair. I wanted straight hair because I remembered when I was 10 years old in Ivory Coast trying to comb my hair and because of its thickness, breaking a comb. I begged my mother, Mom, please, let me get a perm. It would just be so much easier. And like the wise woman that she is, she didn't tell me yes or no. But she said, I want you to go and ask all the Black female women in your life that have perms if you should do it. I asked my next door neighbor, I asked her older daughter, I asked my aunties, I asked my cousins, and every single one of these Black women told me don't do it. And they had perms. So I took matters into my own hands. And I got a straightening comb, or known as a pressing comb, and I pressed my hair out. I was so proud, I felt good, and plus picture day was the next day. And so I go to school, I'm excited, I'm like, yeah, I got it. And one comment brings me back down to earth. A friend of mine says, girl, next time you do it, I need you to do it right. You cannot be looking like Pocahontas on top and Whoopi Goldberg at the roots. My hair was unfamiliar within and outside of my community. So when I graduated from high school, I went to college, and I attended a predominantly white institution, and it wasn't until my junior year abroad that I actually got the courage to wear my hair naturally. I felt as though in Paris no one knew me. I could experience the unfamiliar in a safe space. I wouldn't have the gaze upon me as I would have had it in the United States. I felt a sense of liberation, of transformation, of newness. I remember one night washing my hair at the beginning of this unfamiliar journey, and for anybody who's a Black woman who just started their natural hair journey, you might understand. I washed my hair and I was so tired, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna dry it and I'll go to bed. Yeah, not a good idea. I woke up in the morning with matted hair and tried to comb out my hair and pretty much yelped in the shower. I graduated from Smith and got a really prestigious fellowship, a Fulbright. I remember feeling really proud of myself. I remember being excited, but I also remember the feelings of angst. I remembered my 8-year-old self, and I remembered the feelings of not belonging. I remember the feelings of being unfamiliar. So when I was getting ready to move back to Abidjan, I did what anybody does when they travel. I went on Facebook, and I scoured meetup groups. I was looking for community, for a group of women, Ivorian women, who talked about natural hair, because I knew that I would be going into an environment where it wasn't welcome, especially professionally, especially at the Ministry of Justice where I'd be working. And I found Nappies de Babi. Nappies means natural and happy, and de Babi is short for Abidjan. On weekends, I would attend meetup groups. We would talk about products to use in our hair, how we did our hair, how our experiences were, and just laughed and kikied. But we also talked about deeper issues, how our hair affected our career trajectory, how our hair showed up in our personal relationships. It got so deep that we even started a movement and ended up on CNN. It felt good to be a part of this movement. Not only had I gained community, but I had also gained sisterhood. So that was my life on the weekends, and obviously I was at a fellowship, so I had to work during the week. And I remember every day when I would leave for work, specifically at 4:30 so I could miss the 3 hours of traffic, women in their cars would literally swerve and stop in front of me and ask me one question. Ce sont tous tes cheveux? Is that all your hair? Women selling and carrying mangoes would literally crook their necks around and ask me, Ce sont tous tes cheveux? Is that all your hair? Now, at first it was funny. I was like, okay, this is amusing. But then I got curious. For me, identifying as an African and an African-American woman, coming back to Africa as the motherland, this is where we come from as Black people. So I was confused as to how I was looking at a woman that I came from asking me about my natural hair. And so I wanted to have conversations, ask questions to Ivorian women, and ask them, why is it that when you see my hair, it's unfamiliar to you? And so I started filming a documentary called, Is That All Your Hair? So after I finished my fellowship, I moved back to the United States, and I started working at Duke University. Now the thing is, higher education was never created for me in mind, as being both Black and female. When I move around this campus, going to meetings and other events, the spaces are predominantly white and male. I remember a conversation that I was having with a Black female colleague of mine during a break at a workshop. We were kikiing, having fun, catching up on life, and ultimately talking about hair, where she recounted a comment that was made to her by one of her white female counterparts, who said, I'd have to stick my finger in an electric socket to get my hair to do that. Unfamiliar. So when we talk about the unfamiliar, we're talking about something that unsettles us. This comment reminded me about my experience in high school in San Francisco, one of the most liberal cities, where I would get comments from my white peers that were not overtly racist, but that stung a little. It reminded me of the comment about my hair looking like Pocahontas on top and Whoopi Goldberg at the roots. It's really known as a microaggression, which is a statement, an action, or an incident regarded as an instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group, such as a racial or ethnic minority. Also known as an indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group. So I want to ask you 2 questions. How do you think about your hair? Is your hair a part of your identity? These are questions that I've now started to ask young Black female undergraduates here at Duke in a new series that I'm doing on natural hair, as they move around this campus and wanting to understand their experiences at a predominantly white institution. So when we think about what is unfamiliar, we're really thinking about what is unsettling to us, what makes us uncomfortable, what is strange. So when I think about something that's strange, it's something that invites me in, that we can think about as a challenge to question with curiosity and respect. So as I close, I'd like to ask you this question. What unsettles you and makes you uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar? Thank you.